Just a clarification. In the event.
Yes. Yes.
I refuse to identify a terrorist organization by their claimed name, because I refuse to organize a state on using marriage instead. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Welcome to the final round of the ICRC debate. Sorry, I'm with Miss Najma from United. To kickstart the round, I now invite the opening government to open up the government space. Okay. Yeah.
The info slide was not that helpful, so I think it's convenient for me to extend a bit and give a much deeper understanding about what this context should actually be about. I think it's safe for us to assume that this particular person has a family member which is safe for him to travel, which means they're basically at a reasonable enough age where whenever he tells them to hide, they're able to hide, and they're mature enough to think that we are able to get a safe passage away to EU. So that's fiat by basis, which means the family is going to be safe regardless. Number two, we think that when the white helmet desperately wants you to join them, this simply means that you have a utility. A utility that means an utility over even your wife to begin with, because you didn't even offer your wife this particular offer to begin with, or anyone else in that particular area. So this debate simply boils down to one simple value judgment. As an individual, what should you choose? And why your moral compass should be what opening government will be presenting in today's debate. Sit down. My first argument would be why your morality should always be compassed around collective benefits at the end of the day. And I'm going to give you 4 different reasons why. My first reason would be how, if your moral compass is showing against the direction of quality of life, why opening government will be able to guarantee a quality of life which is better. And this is a situational comparison that I'll be presenting to you today. Assuming that you follow your family and landed safely in EU, it means you're perfectly fine in a much civilized community which simply can portray the news or what is happening in Syria on a daily basis. The image alone of seeing how people in Syria are suffering on a daily basis would hamper your quality of life, because you will always be haunted by that sense of guilt and you're unable to function properly, because while you are safe here with your family, you and your utility has forgone and therefore led to the white helmet unable to function properly. And therefore, we think this is particularly harmful. But even if in a scenario where the family somehow face some sort of difficulty in EU, once they safely reach EU, we think at least the family have a strong enough support structures around the community pressure for a better life for refugees to begin with. And we think it is, like on a comparison, is significantly better in contrast to what is happening under a situation where you simply leave your family. But my second reason is, if you choose to leave the white helmet, you are now considered to be a complicit of suffering. Because imagine this, most people in Syria currently is stuck in a dilemma where you condemn a lot of people outside for not sending in help altogether. But if you take a moral decision to leave those own Syrian people yourself, it means you are now a hypocrite. Because once you cry for help and once you get help from EU, automatically you run and let all of those other huge number of people to suffer. And we think it is particularly bad for you to begin with. Sit down, guys. My third reason would be about the birth lottery argument. Because the reason why you become a utility to the white helmet to begin with, or such an important person, is because of the contribution of society around you. And therefore, it is almost immoral for you to simply live, to simply choose to join your family over the white helmet, because we think that you owe something to the society just because when you're successful and you become like so talented, you're able to accumulate wealth out of it. But once trouble strikes, you suddenly decided that my moral compass should be a selfish one, and I should simply join the bandwagon and I join my family and leave everyone else suffer there altogether. Sit down. Fourth reason is why this is akin to a murder. Because more often than ever, an act of omission itself is considered to be a crime. Because if you're such a huge utility to begin with, for example, you might be an important engineer, you might be an important doctor to begin with, to a point where the white helmet can't operate or function optimally without you. That's the exact reason why they're forcing you, why they're trying so hard to ensure that you join them to begin with. And we think, because of your omission, this is significantly lacking in numbers and therefore make things difficult. But before that, closing.
Okay, here's the thing. How easy is it to be a white helmet? Can anyone be trained to do it?
And that directly moves into my next argumentation. How your existence would help the war to begin with. Because this is where we need to come and identify what are the white helmets. They're basically collective volunteers who severely try to patch up every individual's lacking. But not only in terms of sheer number, but also in terms of lacking of resources. Therefore, a few talented people are able to operate as a way of being an expert or MacGyver in a way they are able to operate even in the strictest situation. Therefore, them choosing like this correct individual is pertinent to them, and it is impossible for them to find any other replacement because you don't have that much resources to begin with. You don't have that much talent to begin with. So if they're really wanting you to join them to begin with, it clearly shows that how vital you are to the white helmet operation to begin with. And this boils down to my next contention, which how you'll be a huge moral boost to people out there. First reasoning is because your mere existence in the white helmet would mean you have the ability to save life, which means you are able to save more life in comparison with him running away with his family to EU to begin with. So there's only a mutually exclusive benefit that can exist in our paradigm in terms of more numbers of life being saved, and they can't provide you. But number two, and the biggest thing here is the value of his sacrifice. Because you need to understand, the white helmets are selfless people. They don't make decisions for themselves. And it's extremely important for you to be able to get these heroes, a lot of them joining and say, I would rather stay in Syria and make sure people are safe. Make sure a lot of them are able to recuperate and able to escape by themselves before I myself escape. Remember here, you are a highly talented person to begin with. Your parents, your family might be able to exit safely, but all those other injured people are unable to exit. And therefore, we think you owe a moral duty to people out there rather than being selfish. Because you're selfish.
I thought that was like you.
Right. I'd like to thank the Prime Minister for his speech. Now I'd like to invite the leader of opposition to open the video.
We submit that the greatest flaw of opening at the start of this speech is the huge assumption that when we seek refuge outside, when we go with our families, for example, the only thing that we're gonna do in the European Union is sit and watch TV and watch those Syrians suffer eventually again and again. That is the worst presumption that they could make in this debate. Because when we're talking about individuals who Prime Minister already conceded, who are intellectuals, those who have political capital, Mr. Speaker, these are individuals who have the zeal and willingness to contribute to a larger cause. And the question of the debate is only whether or not it's better for you to operate in the European Union or for you to stay with the white helmets. We think that we are clear in this debate, and we submit that it's better for you to operate in the European Union. And the moral calculus, yes, we can see in which paradigm can you better contribute. Where do you have that better breathing space? And we think it's non-existent when you go with the white helmets, no matter how noble their cause was at the end. So in terms of utility, that's the debate we think that we're going to win based on our submission later. Two rebuttals from Leader of Opposition. The first thing they said is that, again, when we go to the EU, people are going to be like unable to do anything because they're outside their territory. They're just going to suffer like watching these Syrians die. That's not true. We're going to argue later why it's better for you to go to the European Union and eventually sit down, gather more support, not only from the international community, but also from your fellow Syrians who might be there in the European Union as well, or those that are back at your homeland. But they said, no, you're going to be seen as a hypocrite. They're not going to help you. That's not true. The way people look at refugees as of status quo, it's not like they go outside their country seeking refuge just for their own convenience. That's not how we look at refugees. They go outside their countries because it's necessary for them to do so, and we always see them as victims. That's why when they call for help, we're not going to see them as hypocrites. We're more likely going to listen to their cause, because these are individuals who are pushed to the wall to go out of their country, right? So in terms of like getting support, we think that it's not absent when you go outside the European Union. Second point they said, if you stay in the white helmet group, you're more likely to be seen to commit good sacrifice, and it creates, I don't know what conclusion did Prime Minister have because there was none. We think that sacrifices are always judged based on the value which are tangible, right, that they create at the end of the day. And that just because you stayed in the white helmet group does not necessarily show that you are a person who committed a good sacrifice for a cause. They never analyze it in Prime Minister. I hope that it does. But we think that the sacrifice is better in opposition side when you go out of the European Union. Later, again, I'm going to discuss that. Before, okay, closing.
Yeah. So just a clarification, would you support every Syrian man who's offered a white armor position to actively leave Syria for your principal stand?
To actively live in Syria?
Would you support every Syrian who is offered a white helmet position to leave Syria and go to the European Union because it has more political power?
Please don't push us in that context. We're only talking about individuals who are already offered safe passage outside their country. What's our first argument? The white helmet is more or less a lost cause anyway. And second, that communities are better off together when we go out of the European Union, and we think that it's better for their lives at the end of the day. So let's talk about why the white helmet is a lost cause, right? No matter how noble the cause is, we think that the white helmet is a dangerous choice. Why? Because historically, they only operated in rebel-held areas. They are unlike the Red Cross, for instance, who operate both not only in rebel-held areas, but also in areas where it is controlled by the government. What does this mean? This means that the group has substantially been seen as a rebel sympathetic. Although we do not know the truth of this, we think that this perception which the group has created towards the Bashar al-Assad government is something that is very dangerous to individuals who opt in that group. What happens? We think that when individuals opt to join the white helmet group, at the end of the day, for instance, in Aleppo, which has already been retaken by the Bashar al-Assad government substantially, we think that the lives of these individuals will totally be at risk, even at risk, and in fact, they're not going to be able to contribute a lot because they are currently being held as targets by the Bashar al-Assad government because of that perception of being sympathetic to the rebels. We think that your breathing room in Syria, even if you have that noble motive to help people, is not going to exist if you have. What is the converse burden then of opposition? If you look at going into the European Union, we think it's not hypocrisy. In fact, it's better it's a better breathing room for individuals to gain the help they need. How does this happen? When you talk about individuals who have the political capital, like these are heads of their families, right? Who are able to talk to communities and are able to lobby for eventual intervention in Syria. It's more likely going to help the cause of the Syrians at the end of the day, when you have individuals there who stay with their families and use their capital, for instance, to gain friends, and for instance, to gain support from the international community and to consolidate manpower for their cause at the end. It's not gonna exist if you stay in Syria where you don't have communication to the outside world. We think that's fine. They're enjoying that temporary short passage in the European Union, but that's where they have the breathing room, Mr. Speaker. They can talk to other countries and they can get the aid that they need at the end. Last argument, why are communities going to be better off if we go to the European Union? The end goal is always to attempt to recreate the environment previous the war, right? Prior to such war. And we don't think that joining the white helmet is going to help recreate that environment. Why? When you talk about heads of families being separated from the mother or the children of both of those parents, we think that what you create is an endless vicious cycle of victims who are left in the European Union because their fathers are out helping people in Syria. What does this mean? This means that we could create communities without heads of families. And we think this is harmful because when you talk about heads being able to aid their families economically and aid their people establish that identity and establish that cultural closeness to each other, we think that is important because at the end of the day, you want to retake Syria. You want to go back to your homeland, and we think that you cannot create that scenario if you create victims, families who are considered as victims as opposed to those who are empowered because they have their loved ones with them. Thanks.
I think we need a motion for a speech. I invite the Deputy Prime Minister to close the opening government speech.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, we think hope is an amazing thing that can create amazing outcomes. We've seen how the white helmets, that was initially a smaller number, but when they're selfless and when they're able to create that perception of hope within that territory, look at all the things that they've done and the international attention that they managed to garner. And we think, imagine in a world whereby you get to maintain those things or increase those things, wouldn't things be much better for the people who are trapped in Syria, right? So 2 things on this days to be. First, I will go through again what Amshar said to you. I'll extend on some parts and link it back and conclude it back, right? And secondly, I'll give you an argument on the idea of happiness and quality of life, which will be an even if to Amshar's argument about collective moral responsibility, in which I'll talk on a more individualistic term. Why will that still be good? Not forget Ariana. And yeah, that's basically the 2 things I will do. But before that, let's deal with the things that was brought up by Said today. He asserted that people we need to go there and to get their support, but never explaining to us how exactly, as a refugee that is seen as a person who ran away from his cause, can get those particular support. Especially when you as a refugee, this means your ability to get your voice out there, to get people to have the incentive to listen to your stories is very minimal. And also, keep in mind that even if you do get to speak on their behalf, we don't think whatever you say will carry any weightage because you are also the same person that abandoned your own particular group for a very, just so that you are a lot safer, right? We don't think that's true. But even if, let's say it is important to have someone there to tell the stories of how and what happened there, we think your family can do that on your behalf, right? And then, they never really explain to us, they never really discharge their burden in explaining, how exactly are they going to be able to make these people have the platform to speak out, and what incentive do people have to listen to your stories, especially when you no longer will be contributing to that goal. And then they talk about how, oh, no, we shouldn't do this as a whole because now you will be seen as a sympathizer of the rebel. We think there's a tension in their case whereby if you go out and, let's say, lobby for the support that you initially wanted, you will also be seen as a sympathizer to those rebels. So we question, what exactly do you want? But what's even funnier coming from side opposition today is when they're saying like, oh, white helmet is a bad group as a whole because it's dangerous to go in there. We think that's a debate against white helmet as a whole, and we don't see how that carries any value in today's debate. So let's take a look at what has been said by Amshar. We told you how not yet. We've talked about how your decision should operate on a collective moral compass in terms of guilt. Right? Keep in mind when we talk about when we talk about this white helmet, they've been working together for quite some time. That means the people that you are leaving behind are your comrades, the people that you build bonds with. That also means the fact that you're very close with these people, the moment you leave them, the guilt will also be magnified. So we think it's not something that you can easily just forget. And they never really engage to us. How do you exactly deal with that feeling, the guilt? Because you need to recognize that you make those decisions on a perception of this particular person that you're willing to easily subject to guilt without being able to make any change in the future to later on feel good about himself. And then we went on to talk about the huge moral roots, right? You need to understand that the white helmet group operates on collective hope and selflessness. That's what makes them very strong. That's how they manage to create a lot of miracles in times where hope seems, in times of brighter future seems like almost non-existent. And we think this also make them very well acknowledged by the international, right? And we think that the fact that if we manage to stay, or if anyone, let's say in that particular area, who are offered the job of a position in the white helmet and choose to stay, you're able to magnify the amount of hope and the image that you create that will further make people feel like, I'm not going to give up and I want to fight. And we think that the reason why they have not yet lost is because the hope is still there and in existence. And we think in order for us to achieve some form of a better future, that needs to remain, because this is the comparative, right? If everyone operates on a very the judge can't see this at this moment. If you want to operate on basic selfishness, we think that, I'm sorry, let me word that. If you automatically want everyone to just leave the moment that they have the passage, we think that the group will become less powerful, and we think that in that circumstances, it will be more difficult for you to even gain any form of recognition to that group or get any support that you wanted in the first place. But if people stay, you're able to at least, in the worst case, maintain that form of strength that you already have. But then, before I move on to my even if case, yes, closing. Thanks. So, how difficult is it for individuals to be part of the white helmets, and what's its exclusive difference to other organizations like the Red Cross or the Blue Helmets? Well, we think the metric of people wanting to be a part of the white helmet is based on volunteerism, in which you might also have people who are specialized in the area who can contribute their ability, and these people might also be trained, and I'm not sure how that relates. But anyway, my even if case, right? Let's say you want to disregard the idea of collective morality. You want people to be you want people to make decisions on individualistic basis. We still think that it can work in our favor, because this brings down the question of, what makes your life a good life? Obviously, it's happiness. The feeling that you're somebody in the world doing something, and we have always been groomed to feel that way. We think that, being alone with your family is not enough to give you this form of quality of life, if we were to look at it from an individualistic perspective, right? Because we've seen how people were willing to sacrifice their time with their family just so that they can get a name in their career field. They want to feel like they've done something and give something to the world. And we've seen how volunteers or doctors on borders would travel far, go through hardship in order to contribute. And in the same circumstances, they would also leave their family behind other opportunities that they can get to settle down. What does this prove? We think this proves clearly that happiness cannot necessarily, we think that existence of family unit alone is not enough to bring you personal happiness. We think that at the end of the day, it will essentially boil down to your ability to give some part of yourself to the world and be a part of a bigger cause, and knowing that you are also a part of something that's meaningful. So we've analyzed to you, right, at the end of the day. We've told you how, on the first and one hand, this decision is important in terms of moral, collective moral, why this is the best for everyone. And we've also given you an even if case, let's say if you as a person want to be selfish, why this is want to make decisions based on individualistic, why this decision can also cater to that particular need. And we think we take it to be.
To tell you the truth, when first speaker spoke, I was quite shocked because he wanted to put so many new things into the motion. Like for example, he wants the kids in the motion to be of age already. He wants the white helmets to be in desperate need of the individuals, and he wants these individuals to be irreplaceable individuals who, by their mere presence in the white helmet, can radically change their capabilities. I personally don't think that we're talking about individuals like Superman. I think we're talking about individuals who are normal human beings, of normal capabilities, who can probably help, but not substantially, radically change their abilities, right? Going with what we can normally expect in a debate, ladies and gentlemen, we think they're going to lose because of a couple of things. The first wrong and fatal presumption of government bench is to assume that the moment that you as an individual take your safe passage to EU, therefore, automatically, you cannot help nor aid your Syrian community, nor any other citizens of that matter. But second, they never had any discussion on why state responsibility in this case can trump familial responsibility and obligation, especially in the context of a failed state, as we've already seen in Syria. But before I continue with my discussions, a couple of responses, right? The first, and I think the strongest contribution coming from OG, was that we need you to stay so that it will create a culture of moral guilt, so that others who left will feel this moral guilt that I need to stay because I feel guilty. We think that's very dangerous and that's something that's reprehensible. Why? Because the moment an individual leaves, it was an objective decision on his part that he can exercise his freedom of self and he can contribute better when he leaves. But when you induce moral guilt as your tool, then it essentially hijacks the consciousness and rationality of that individual to make choices that he would otherwise never have done. We think, ladies and gentlemen, that state obligation can never be a defense on this. Because if you look at it, that's why even in cases of self-defense, if I kill another individual that's outside my state obligation, but we champion that because we recognize that those levels of individual life, dignity was never part of the social contract that we bargained over to the state. But second, let's discuss. Do we really not contribute anything once we leave? But before that, we have to assess how big your contribution really is if you stay. Because as we already told you, ladies and gentlemen, and as you saw in the motion, the area we're talking about here is Aleppo. And as if you've read the news recently, Aleppo has been heavily shelled. Their humanitarian corridor, that means they're giving up, was blocked by their president. What does that mean? That means if you stay as a white helmet, that means your patriotism will not be long there. Chances are you're going to die at the very normal of circumstances, but at the very best, that you were able to survive the shelling and everything that Assad is doing to you, we think that you can't even exercise your ability to aid. Because as Sam already told you, the white helmets is already perceived to be aiding the rebels. That means, assuming that Assad forces goes in there and you're a white helmet, then they are going to heavily regulate and control your movements. That means limiting your ability to contribute to a social good that they so wanted to defend. In comparison, ladies and gentlemen, we say that their whole concept of a symbolism of hope for other people to stay is not exclusive. Because the moment that a refugee, for example, goes to the EU, sells the victim narrative, for the short term, it creates hope for other refugees that it's possible for us to survive. It's possible for us to be contributing members again to our state. But secondly, because that it highlights the fact and the plight of the Syrians, ladies and gentlemen, for the EU, then they can take a more proactive role in terms of abolishing the conflict in Syria. We think that's an underlying and short-term benefit. But more than that, we think that it provides a long-term benefit. Why is that? Because the fatal mistake, again, of government bench was to assume that your family is not part of the community that you're supposed to be defending, ladies and gentlemen. No, that your family are also Syrians. That means if you join them and protect them and adequately provide for them, technically you're also doing what the white hats are protecting. Protecting a Syrian life, protecting your community, ladies and gentlemen. we think it's even more beneficial for you to stay there because the certainty of return of investment for Syria is better. Assuming that you help your family, you help your fellow refugees, you make them socially, economically mobile in the EU, they can then contribute better to the economy rather than, or to the rebuilding of Syria post-conflict, rather than you staying there and you probably dying, Mr. Speaker. But before I continue, yes.
So, would you, as a Syrian person, individual, you care what comes back to your community and your families, or do you just want to go to the EU and stay there forever?
Obviously, if you're talking about an individual who before leaving actually thought about, should I join the White Hat? We're talking about individuals who has motivation to go back and just waiting for them to lie low. But assuming that your extension would be, what if they finally leave and never come back to Syria? Is that a valid choice? We're willing to defend that choice. Because, ladies and gentlemen, your responsibility to the state is a state construct. What does that mean? That's an artificial obligation passed over to you that you never chose to participate in. There was never any ratification aside from maybe voting. Ladies and gentlemen, usually in cases of birthright citizenship, it was even forced upon you to live in those circumstances. We say that in those cases, ladies and gentlemen, then familial responsibility trumps state responsibility for two things. The first one is because your responsibility to your state has already been extinguished. You're talking about Syria, who abused its own citizens. That means, ladies and gentlemen, your reciprocal obligation to protect and contribute to Syria was already done the moment Assad did the heinous acts that he did, ladies and gentlemen, or even the rebel acts who you don't even know are on your side. Comparatively, ladies and gentlemen, your family never failed to protect you. Never fail to contribute to your identity or who you are. That means you have a reciprocal obligation still to protect them. That's why you joined them. But secondly, assuming that the state did not fail you, why do we still think that familial responsibility is primordial? First, because of their substantial contribution, as I said, to your identity. But second, because comparative to the state, your action directly affects the people around you, directly affects your family in comparison to the state. The question that they have to then defend, ladies and gentlemen, is why is your family, who prior to your act will change radically their lives, be lesser in terms of preference to a state who might not even feel their contribution? We're very proud to oppose. Thanks.
Let's thank the deputy officer. I'd like to invite the government to open the government.
The debate so far has lacked an explanation of what is the incentive of this individual. I think teams have been throwing around things that you will feel, things that are good for you, but I will be the first team to tell you what is your interest and why joining the White Helmets is in the interest of both you, your community, and your families, the ones that left you or the ones that are back at home. What are these interests? And all my responses will be integrated. I'll flash them out to you. Is that one, as much as possible, you want to return back to Syria as a more stable state. So you probably want Assad out, you probably want Aleppo back in rebel territory, you want a functional government. Because Germany is temporary, but Syria is always home. But second is you want your communities that are in Syria, as well as your family that is with you, to return back to the Syrian life that you had, the families and communities that you have, and also be able to claim that you are a savior, and also to claim that you're a selfless human being because you wanted to join the White Helmets because you cared about Syria. But then, most importantly, you want to raise awareness on the hellhole that is Syria. And I'm going to agree with you opening up that if you are in EU and you're not short, and therefore you have more political power, but I'll explain why that actually isn't the case. What am I going to do in my speech? I'm going to clear it out very quickly. The first thing I'm going to deal with the opening in two levels. One is why political bargaining in the EU is actually worse off. I'd rather you stay in the White Helmet and maybe die. That's the comparative. Second is I'm going to prove that the White Helmet is not a lost cause, and in fact is our last standing chance in Aleppo. And third, I will prove that if this one individual leave, there is one more person that's not fighting, and therefore the closing and the opening can't say he's replaceable because people who volunteer are scarce, and every single person is important. If we lose this one person, we are saving one less Syrian child. That's the comparative to this debate. First, in terms of political bargaining, like I don't believe for a second that you can play the victim's narrative in the European Union. People there either think you're a terrorist. I'll give you a name of all the countries. Viktor Orban of Hungary has claimed that they are here to attack the Christian majority. The UK left the European Union because they didn't want to accept more immigrants. France is Islamophobic, bans the burqa. Syria, like Cyprus, Macedonia, and all the Greek countries that are on the Mediterranean Sea, denied votes. So actually, you are sending them to a place where they are seen as terrorists. I don't know what political bargaining power you have. So more money and less terrorists directly shooting you doesn't equate to more political bargaining power. It equates to more Islamophobia. Your news channels on the far right, YouTube, will sensationalize it to be terrorists. You will make things worse. But on top of all of that, they will say you were the privileged Syrian person who could leave Syria. You left everyone back home. That is the narrative you say. So on a comparative, I would say the EU is worse off. What is then our alternative? Like I asked them in a POI, and I said, would you defend every Syrian person leaving to the away from the white helmet? They say that's not your burden. Yeah, that's not your burden. But then the comparative is a single person leaving to Syria versus the collective voice you have as the white helmet. Because note that the white helmet has got a Netflix documentary. You should have watched the video, right? They got 2 film accreditations. They were given more aid as a result of it. You remaining as a unit as the white helmet is far preferable than a single individual leaving to the European Union. Therefore, your biggest benefits out of this debate, opening opposition. Have a seat. Second is, I'm going to talk about as it sit down, is why the white helmet is not a lost cause. Like I think no one in this debate actually knows what the white helmet is. I'm going to give you like some an info slide, right? Like the first thing I will say is, true that they are associated with like rebel groups, but they are not rebel sympathizers and there's no incentive for states to attack them. Why? First of all, they have tied themselves to the neutrality clause of the ICRC, and therefore both sides have agreed to not attack them in Aleppo. That's why they haven't been like ousted by the Assad government. Second is, when Assad decided to give his chemical weapons up, it was part of the deal to not attack white helmet members because they were helping innocent civilians who were both Assad supporters and rebel supporters. So it's the incentive of the Assad government. But third is that the white helmet is the most non-aligned movement that is humanitarian in Aleppo. So I would think of the many enemies Assad has, the white helmet is the least targeted in this area. So what does this mean? Why is the white helmet really important? Because I would say every individual person in the white helmet plays a unique role. So it's not like this person is disposable, you can get rid of him and get another person. Because he is a person who probably has a specific role. Like the child who was saved from a bombing and became the face of the Syrian war was saved by white helmets. Every one person that is lesser in your world is a person that cannot be replaced. Because no, if the white helmet has lesser people, and people see the white helmet as an institution that is always decreasing in numbers, you can't replace this person. The closing opposition cannot get away by saying, oh, he's replaceable, because no one will join the white helmet when it's less better. So what's the comparative? Why is dying fighting preferable? Because I think the opening opposition had a principle. Like it's not familial responsibility versus state responsibility. It's familial responsibility versus communal responsibility. You are not protecting Assad. You are not protecting this thing. You are protecting the communities that are victims of it. So it's not like self-defense where you're actively attacking the perpetrator. You are actively attacking civilians because you are leaving them to die. So what's the comparative? Although it's true, Assad didn't give you like a great life and therefore you have an obligation to fail state. Who gave you a great life? The communities in Syria, there are people who have made your family structure important. The fact that you are not in an adoption agency and you have a family you rely on means that people care about you in those communities. So if anything, your happiness right now in status quo isn't because you earned it and you are like a meritocratic person. It's because people gave it to you on the ground. Syrian communities made it easier for you to have the job, for you to get like, safe passage. If anything, you have an obligation to this community first because your family was only as a result of this community allowing it. Others who would have already been dead. Before I go to my third thing, go for it.
Andre, on your own argumentation, if you accept that your family is the people that make you who you are today, you're leaving the EU, and you then responsible to make sure they have a safe life there, especially when you say it's so horrible in the EU.
Yeah, okay. So if the family is leaving to EU, we would also try to encourage them to stay in like Syria. We wouldn't support them going to EU because it's a stupid decision if you leave the EU. If you leave Syria, you're more likely to be a person who cannot ever return to Syria because the situation will become so bad. I don't know what the POI was about. But also don't misrepresent me. I said you were responsible to the community because they created a family. You cannot have a family in the community that incentivizes you to divorce, more likely for you to be adopted because your family members are dead. So your community comes first because they gave you a family, not a family gave you a community. That's not the way it works. But the third thing I want to say is that in this world where the white hammer is empowered and the white hammer is more likely also have humanitarian efforts, this is a world in which they are more likely to get support. Like, I would like to talk about how internationally recognized the white helmet is. In a world where people keep leaving and this individual leaves, you'll be seen as defectors, people who don't trust the white helmet, and the lack of trust means they will have a reduced funding, they are less likely to get support from international organizations. So not only will you embolden ISIS and the Assad government in Aleppo, you will literally cause the demise of the white helmets, because the more politically powerful they are, according to the open opposition, that's more reason for me to believe I should leave Syria in order to make Syria better. And this same world, Assad gets to control the narrative in Syria. So Assad gets to control state media, he gets to control the people in Syria, and I think the only
husband claiming on the media from a Western country that you are a victim is claiming in Syria. You might die in the process, and I agree, but it's far preferable that communities love you and you die a martyr than you die a shameless individual who will be the reason why the white helmets no longer exist in Aleppo.
I thank the member of government for speaking. I invite the member of opposition to open the voting conference.
No, it's okay. When faced with how ugly the world can be, it is not an inhumane choice, and it should never be labeled as running away. We believe that firstly, there is no moral obligation that exists. This will be very different from previous discussions, such as that of which Charles argued, in that families are the obligation, the main obligation, versus communal obligation. I'll prove to you in my speech why state or even community obligation does not exist, and why the obligation instead lies in oneself. An extension to this is a net benefit for humanity, and how do we produce this as someone that lands in the EU. But before that, a few responses. Because member of government talked about how it's better for you to save individuals around you, because that also means you can, like, there's some communal objective and obligation. We believe that individuals that choose to stay, and if they want all Syrians to stay and have the white helmets, you cannot be partial or you cannot be biased. Meaning, if you're currently digging a hole or preventing people from getting like splattered from bombs, and you know your family is 2 blocks away, you can't choose them over the other. It's also part of their obligation calls to the ICRC that they do not be partial. So you even add trauma and may even risk the lives of your other friends or family within the area. Second, opening talked about something like the birth lottery, that just because you're born there, you have an obligation to act. We think that the birth lottery implies otherwise. It's not your fault that you're born Palestinian, and people should have the objective to get away and free themselves from the birth lottery as much as possible. The rest will be integrated. First discussion, is there really a loss to the white helmets? Because it's still a deadlock after opening, right? First, we think that the chance is very rare for people to leave. That's why it's a motion to begin with. People want to leave Syria, don't get me wrong. They all want to leave. The problem is that these options are not available to most, especially safe passage. What does it imply? It implies that first, individuals are, well, you can recruit a lot of individuals. But even if you can't, we think that there are other international figures present, right? Because there's no exclusive benefit. I've been marking them with POIs. There is no difference between a blue helmet and a white helmet, Red Cross, Doctors Without Borders, and any other international obligation about organizations. We think that if we're going to talk about intel, the inflow side said everyone knows about Syria already. We just can't do anything about it. If they say that the United Nations will not enter because it's a no-man's zone, we think that the UN really does this. We have individuals and a friend from the debate community who've been to South Sudan, even despite massive war crimes happening on the ground. We think we do send people there. They didn't explain what the exclusive benefit is if you're Syrian. Probably because they're already stuck there. We already told you they can recruit. And the conclusion is, one, there's a minimal loss to the organization. But second, the net benefit to humanity is negligible. Okay, second discussion. Does a moral obligation exist after this? We think that the obligation of the state or the community does not exist. Why is this so? Because we think that you're only obligated to act in a social contract when you are compensated, which is why, yes, tax is an obligation. We think that following the law is an obligation because you receive those protections in return as well. 430 promise. What happens and why is there zero obligation? We think that in spheres where the state does not control, or when the state fails you, there is zero obligation that exists. Why and how does this happen? The same reason why the state cannot protect you from the afterlife, because it has no control over heaven or hell.
We think that you can choose your own religion. We also think that when the state and its police fail you, you have the right to self-defense. You will not be held liable for the people that you retaliate to. Now, it holds true the same as the state. We think that the state is an imagined concept. It's a form of self-defense by people. And if the state fails you, there should be no imagined obligation because you will die eventually. This all leads now to make a discussion of the obligation to self. What does it really mean? 430, sit down, Amrit. You bear the brunt of the entire accumulation of all of your experiences and choices. We think that the same reason why we don't force people to be doctors in Africa, even though it's the continent with the greatest amount of illness, is because people bear these experiences, so you can never shove it down their throats. The reason why is that we think that as a human society, there's an agreement that people should be free to not limit themselves from opportunity because we live in a world of uncertainty. That is the core of humanity and protecting human rights. Before the last discussion, I promise closing. So, can you evolve your extension to deal with why it's a communal responsibility versus an individual responsibility? Not just defending the state that has failed at that responsibility. You're just using the word community in place of state and writ. And realize that the difference I had from opening is I had actual analysis and I didn't just quote random law things like Charles did, nor just talk about families. We think that lastly, and this is the last discussion if I can find it. Okay, why is it better? What's the net benefit for humanity? We think that individuals like Malala Yousafzai, for example, I want to name more points, that these things, even if we don't become a journalist, you can be an ambassador to humanity from like a war torn area. Why is this important? Because mind you, this is not just individual statements. These are your experiences. 3 out of the top 5 human rights lawyers in the world are Palestinian, simply because that their experiences help them become more objective and become raw data for technocrats, linguists, and think tanks. If NATO is spending billions of dollars in terms of how should they operate in the Middle East, we think that these individuals could help in advisory boards, could help in think tanks, similar to what numerous Palestinians and Iraqis have done in the United States and in Canada. Don't get me wrong, these aren't just statements, but narrative experiences that can sway Congress, which is why we still funded Pakistan despite the objection of Republicans, because natural human sentiment shifted to Malala Yousafzai. We think that individuals who do the same will also help in the same manner in terms of people on the ground. When you come to the white helmets, maybe even get them more cash in the long run. What does this mean? It's also important that you have safe passage because that means you are less traumatized than other individuals who are savaged from war. What does this particularly mean? It means because you don't have PTSD, you're less likely to have it. You are a more objective party and witness to the horrors of war that have happened on the ground, which means that your statements are more valid in court, especially in international courts. It also means that your narratives are less biased, meaning you're not angry at the people who have killed your family and you will not make sure that they go to hell. But moreover, you'll narrate your experiences because you know your family is safe. Nothing's really holding you by the balls. What did we prove in this debate? First, we were the only team to objectively compare the moral obligations and fulfill that burden. Second, we talked about, well, the net benefit to humanity and how you can still contribute to humanity if you really wanted to. And lastly, we were the most reasonable in terms of outcomes. We are extremely proud to oppose. Thanks.
I make a memo of this speech. Now, government close the government. Yes, yes.
When faced with how ugly the world could be, you don't add to that ugliness. You tell me it's not a radical change when you save a child who could have drowned in rubble or infrastructure that all fell apart on top of him. You tell me that you didn't save that child's life. You tell me that there was no changes created. The communities that cared about you, that made you who you were. I will first explain to you how Amrit's extension on how it's the best interest of not only you, but also the community you care for, the family you care for, and the country you care for. I know there was very little response coming from Aviana's side. Then her weird extensions for dealing with opening oppositions out of this debate.
That's in the best interest of this individual. I'm going to explain to you three things. That essentially, you want to return back to a state that is more stable. And this directly ties to empowering the white helmets, right? They tell us that it's a minimal loss when a person removes himself from the white helmets. Are you kidding me? It's a massive loss, right? You tell us that you are Malala Yousafzai. What a lie. Malala Yousafzai stayed. Malala Yousafzai got her treatment in America and then chose to go back even after experiencing that treatment, right? Malala Yousafzai needed to be on the ground to show herself as the martyr that she is. Like she would not have gotten that same kind of clout if she never showed herself as sacrificing, and if she had shown herself as privileged, like nobody would have followed into her, right? But we also tell you that the communal obligation that you have is not just a simple familial one, right? It's a one that created your family to begin with. It's one that created the life, like the only life you knew before this war. You have an obligation towards that community. How it healed you, how it schooled you, and all of that, right? It's not. We're not saying that we have an obligation to the Assad government. We're literally saying that you have the obligation to the community that you grew up in. Yes. So like I'm going to assume her kind of response. The only response that came from Aviana when it came to this was that you cannot be partial, and that if your family is in the same vicinity, you will choose your family. I don't know if you got it. I will attempt to get it. Well, sit down. So this idea of impartiality, that you will be more partial to your family. So if your interest is always to maintain your family and your community, you would want to make that community a better place. It's great that you're partial. It's great that you always think, I want a better place for my family. I want a better place for my community. The world is better off on our side, unlike yours. So you remove yourself and you won't get any political clout outside, unlike opening opposition says, right? But the last thing she tells you that this whole birth lottery thing that is unimportant, sure, because we actually extend on that and tell you that it's not just about birth lotteries. It's how the society decides to create norms around you, how the society decided to give you privileges so that you were lucky enough to leave, but everyone else wasn't, right? We think it is important for you to maintain that you stay there and help people on the ground. But the last thing that I'm going to explain to you, this is extremely important, that really enough, nobody actually talked about the benefits of the white helmet, and I'm going to specifically give you that the white helmets are the ones that actually bring in your actual international clout, that the moment that you have documentaries about white helmets, that you actually show that white helmets are, that Syrians are terrorists, but actually capable of immense sacrifice and kindness. That's what actually deteriorates the stereotypes that already happen when Syrians are terrorists or whatever, right? This means that you have less international support on your side, less trust on your side. The ICRC literally only supports you as much as the red crescent on the ground exists, or the white helmets on the ground exist, right? If they have no bodies within these countries to work upon, they are going to give you less support. In fact, if it's true that ICRC and all these NGOs already support you, even better, right? So you not only get the support of ICRC, but also more support for white helmets. That makes a better change on our world rather than yours. But here's where I deal with their extensions, right? That's it. So number one, she tells me that you have zero obligation. Now we already told you that it's pretty ridiculous idea to conflate the government as well as the community, right? Victor Orban didn't create my community, or Najib didn't create my community. I think that the society and culture that existed around me and the people that are tied to me are what brought me up within this privilege. It's really low level for her to bring up this social contract argument and tell you that when the state fails you, then you must run. No, when the state fails you, you have a right and obligation to topple that state and do anything you can to help against that state, right? You leaving literally enables the oppression of that state, and the most vulnerable common denominators in that state are the ones who are the worst off. We want to force our doctors into staying, right? Imagine so many doctors in that state within Syria. There's so many people who have saved, less children who have died, less civilians who have innocently killed. Before I move on to the last extension that came from the opposing government side,
Sure, white helmets help instrumentally. You can be pushed to help individuals outside their community. In those cases, you can't just hide that community responsibility and start defending. In those cases, do they have a responsibility to this state?
Yeah, sure. ICRC does that too, whatever. But even then, right? We think that it's great that you show that Syrians can help people even outside. This means you literally enlarge your community. You tell opposing soldiers that I'm willing to help you too. More likely people are going to join your side. That's great. A great thing. You expand your community and you make your community better. But this is this whole idea on how you're unbiased, so courts will listen to you more. And this ties into open opposition's political clout thing. Your identity is as a refugee identity is someone who was cowardly enough to leave. Your identity is one of the who was privileged enough to leave, right? We think that a lot of courts will actually not care about what you have to say. The more you care about like someone who actually stayed, but by that time, people will already died within that state. This means that you have more victims and less voices who are actually on the ground, but rather your voice who was always in the EU and never cared, right? Nobody's going to listen to you. Your identity will never have enough clout. But essentially, them telling us that it's a dangerous choice in opening opposition isn't enough, right? So what if the government has a target on my back? I want to get the government to come find me. Let me get my revenge on them. I will heal as many people as I can before I die. That's a dignity in death that we think that is impossible on your side, where you leave and you may have some safety, but you'll always be discriminated, you'll always be hated. Here, the community and the best interest of that person is always to come back to a more stable state, which you don't allow for. Rather, you leave and you maintain that, right? You don't let them get away with this idea that you'll have more social economic progress for your family. How hard it is for a refugee to get a job in like xenophobic EU? What a lie for them to tell us that, right? What miracle story have they been listening to? But here's where we tell you that people like Victor Orban, people like Theresa May already hate you. You'll never get any political clout in there, right? So who is out this rate for these? Imagining an ideal world where you can possibly get your voice heard. Your voice is best heard in the comforting, like last words that you tell a person who's about to die. The last words that you tell a person when you manage to heal that person and be the only person to save that soldier. We think that our side is one more merciful and better for the conflict.
Government takes the speech, I invite opposition with opposition, the opposition, pulling opposition side.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the perfect person to debate this motion. You want to know why? They don't care really about anyone else. Anyone can really die at this moment, and I'll be damn happy. I'd rather go to you. Assuming but not conceding, right? What is the whole government's biggest burden? To prove that they have an obligation. What did they do damn well that there is benefit to this obligation? There is huge amounts of benefit in staying the blue helmet. Dude, we can't say that is not true, because of course one person on the ground is damn good, right? Like Superman will come and help everyone, correct? What you really need to answer is why I must do it. When my parents, when the loved ones, when people have a safe passage to you, why must I make that balance of probabilities? And that is why Aviana's speech and her extensions were the two most nuanced argumentation. Number one, what are the principal argumentation she brought to you is you are not in any way owing to a community. Why? And I'll explain this. Secondly, what did she tell me? This is also significantly important. Most times, even if we debate on the best case, right? You want to make Syria like fucking Wonderland, right? Why? It happens more likely on our side with the net benefit argumentation that she brought for you. And lastly, are the white helmets really that important? So, rebuttals will be integrated. Sit down. Firstly, what is the main argumentation and what is the negation, right? Here was the clash. The whole of government says there is a communal benefit. The argumentation is this, and this is only clear in closing opposition, that the community gave you many structures, the communities gave you many support, and the community gave you love, and hence you have to reciprocate that love. What was Aviana's argumentation was sufficiently strengthened? Number one, the community never gave it to you, expecting you to reciprocate it, right? They saw an immediate benefit in giving you that love for them to gain an immediate benefit. Because like the reason you love your kids, right? Because like you want to see them grow. You don't necessarily expect them to take care of you later on, right? And that is far too much of a burden to put on a kid to begin with. More so, someone is fending for their lives. Secondly, who are you then obligated to if you're only obligated to yourself? What are the two key reasons Aviana told you this? Number one, all decisions you make, you face the full brunt of it. Your community not going to come the day that you're a white helmet person and you're stuck in the trenches, right? Your community, your Amma not going to come and save you, right? You have to push the barricade. You have to pray that someone comes, and when no one comes, that's when you die. But the comparative is, and if you make the active choice of leaving to the EU, and yes, you face the full brunt of it, at least you know that you don't owe anyone that choice, right? So how do we weigh this and why we win it? You have to prove to me why my community needs that reciprocal love. We don't, right? We tell you that if you make decisions, you face the full brunt of it, and that is why it's a legitimate decision for you to be a selfish individual. What OG said was you love your family, and that is why, what OO said is, this is some form of reciprocal attempt towards your family, right? We even went further than that and said it is only to yourself, and you always need to prioritize yourself, right? Secondly, and like what did Aviana also bring to you? Where is there the most amount of net benefit? This is where there was a clash between OO and CG, right? OO said, no, we can become ambassadors and it's very good, and they left it at a very surface. CG said, no, staying there and making sure that you're helping your brother's heart will amount to the most amount of benefit. How did Aviana break that clash? 3 points of argumentation. Number 1, she brought you huge amounts of analysis and examples of individuals who were attacked within their country, went abroad, and became very influential individuals, live or dead, right? She brought you the example of Malala Yousafzai, right? Even though she's shot in Pakistan, mind you, right? I don't know what metaphor police is relying on. She's going to study in Harvard next year, probably with the Obama kid, right? She's decided to stay in America. It's okay if the Pakistanis don't consider her a hero. What she did was shed the light on the Taliban. What she did was incentivize many human rights groups to look into the Taliban. It is more able on our side, and this is where we compared and told you it is much easier for your Republican Party to say a white helmet individual is probably having PTSD, some level of trauma, probably crazy, and is overly exaggerating all the things he's gone through on a comparative when you have a reasonable man with reasonable family who probably saw everything happen but has no tangible link and benefit and no amount of trauma because he was not part of the white helmet. Who are you more likely to believe? The person who can get a Harvard degree and speak properly in a Trevor Noah show, or the person who is probably suffering on a daily basis on your side? We want that guy. But secondly, we also told you that becoming an ambassador, becoming someone important, also ensures you get huge amounts of foreign aid, right? Your white helmet is only good as a Netflix sitcom, right? That I can chill to later, right? But you being an ambassador, you looking for political support within the countries such as the US. Even the boy, the reason why Germany is so admitting to refugees is because the picture of the boys who died. And which story did he die? The German show, right? No one cares what happens in Syria. You only get a Netflix sequel, and probably you might not even get a 3rd season out of it, right? At least we in the US soil ensure our story gets told. At least we ensure foreign aid on a scale is more imperative, more catered for, and better searched out. Lastly, other opening, yes.
Thank you for being the first one to accept your iPhone opening, unlike Google. Right, my POI is simple. Assuming that your moral compass is being selfish, now tell me, why must you go all out and lobby and try to be an ambassador and try to convince people that please help Syria?
Okay, so like this is the problem, and this is how we get it out, right? Being in Syria amounts to being shot, dead, or probably be stuck in a fire. I really don't want that, and I'm sure none of you want that either, right? But when I go to like Germany, right, they probably give me a beer, they probably give me a hot dog, they probably like, you know, at least the first few refugees got some like level of like benefit and like some welcoming, right? I'm more likely to, you know, hey guys, want to hear a story? I actually went through shit, or maybe you want to help me out, right? There was no response to why there is a moral obligation to communities from the side of government. There was no response to the net benefit argument that was broken down, especially from OG and CG. But lastly, are the white helmets that important? This was an important clash in this particular debate. Number 1, what did we tell you? They say the white helmets can often resolve conflicts. We say no. The white helmets are only good in so far as a reactionary step, not a precautionary step. They can only make the life of individuals on the ground slightly better, and you're willing to trade that off for you making your own life better, right? Why so? Because a safe passage comes in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you know you're never going to get that again. You will forever look yourself in the eye, and when you're stuck in that rubble, and wonder to yourself, what if me and my family just went to the EU and got our hot dogs and beer? And that is a lot of suffering for me. Suffering.
I like
Oh my God. I'm so tired.
I told you, the moral dilemma. 12 children.